Hi guys. So today's thing is probably gonna be short little bursts of information. I have the lights off because I can't stand them to be on. Even looking at the computer's kind of giving me a headache. I have really bad migraines right now, but I don't like to take medicine, so I'm just gonna try to tough through it. Um, I woke up, I was feeling really lethargic this morning, so I think I'm anemic. Um, so I've been eating some iron-rich things to try to make myself feel better. Um, I did have a problem with my DivaCup today, but I think it was user error. I don't think in any way that it was the actual cup. When I got up this morning, I was not feeling too good, so when I went and cleaned it and went to put it back, I don't think I put it back right, and so I ended up leaking in my PJs. So I had to go clean up and change my PJ shorts and put it back in, and I think I put it in right this time. Um, but I'm like really tired. So I did say I was going to talk about sex today, so I guess we'll talk about that a little bit. I will say that convenience-wise, the cup is probably a little less convenient than a tampon or a pad if you're wanting to have sex while you're on your period. Um, and I guess that depends on what you want to do with your cup. Um, normally, if you were wearing a pad and you wanted to have sex while you're on your period, I suppose you just take it off and put down a towel and do your business. I'm not really sure because I haven't used pads at any point after I lost my virginity. So I don't really know. I can't tell you what women who wear pads do when they want to have sex. But as far as tampons, normally if I wanted to have sex, I would just take it out and throw it in the garbage can next to the bed, and then probably get some lube because I know myself, I'm usually a little extra dry when I'm wearing a tampon. So, and then just go about your business and get one and put it back. With the cup, it's a little different. I would say it's more messy, like with the pad. So, you would have to take it out and put it somewhere. But for me, I just got up and went to the bathroom and took it out and came back and did my business. And when we got done with that, I went back and put it back in. Cleaned up and put it back in. So I'd say maybe a little less inconvenient for me, but really doesn't bother me to go do it. So that's a weird topic, though, is women who have sex on their period and women who don't have sex on their period. Like, I guess it's kind of up to the woman if she's feeling like it, and then the man if he's okay with it. I don't know. I've never had a problem with it, but then again, my husband and I are pretty open about things, and if something bothers us, we tell the other person, and if it's something that doesn't bother us, we say so. So, we just discussed it, and if you're gonna be with someone to that level of intimacy, whether you're in a long-term relationship or not, if you're gonna be that close to someone, you should probably be able to be open and have a discussion like that without it being, giggly and weird and awkward. I mean, it might feel weird and awkward because, our society has kind of ingrained it in our heads that, periods are something to be talked about in secret and guys shouldn't know about it because it's like women's thing and, you know. But I think it's good for guys to know because, they could have a daughter someday or they could have a friend or something, and they're going to need to know how to help, how to deal with the situation, how to know what's normal and what's not normal. Just like I think women should know more about you know, issues that guys would have that are guy specific. I think that it's so weird that when we have health class that we get separated as much as we do. I can understand at first when you're just trying to, you know, get the bases set down for children of what's happening, but after like a year or two, I don't think that the classes should be separated. And I know for myself, up until I got to high school, the classes were always separated. Like, we talked about the basics together, and then everybody was separated, and the girls would talk about periods, and I don't know what the guys would talk about. I should ask, you know what, I'm gonna ask my husband about that when he gets home or when I talk to him. I'm gonna ask him, like, what do they talk about? Like, besides, like, morning wood or something, what would guys talk about in health education? I mean, I guess prostate health and stuff or something. But, I don't know. I'm in the South, so our, sex education is not really sex education, it's health ed. And it's like they teach you about periods, and they teach you that having sex makes babies or gives you STDs, and that you just shouldn't have sex, and abstinence is the only 100% way. And you don't even, like, you know, there's, like, they tell you, like, in middle school, they, because, like, I can't even remember talking about condoms and stuff in elementary school, which is weird. I mean, I know that I knew that they were there because my grandmother, who raised me, was very much open about the subject. She figured that early education was the best form of protection for me, because if I know what is out there, if I know what to expect, it's not like it's some mystery. It doesn't seem a mystery is not, you know, mysteries are appealing, especially to children and young people. So for her, it was, okay, this is where babies come from, and this is how you deal with that or protect yourself. And, you know, it took the mystery out of it, so there was not like this thing of me running out and wanting to discover the mysteries of, and then she was brutally honest with it. She was like, you know, sex isn't always great, and you can deal with it yourself. So I don't know, everybody's different. What was I? Oh yeah, here I go rambling on again. But yeah, in our sex education in the South, at least in the area that I'm in, um, they more focus on abstinence and telling you, you know, if you have sex with somebody, you could get this horrible disease and all this other stuff. And honestly, until probably middle school, they didn't even really talk about ways to prevent pregnancy and STDs. As far as like using condoms, they just tried to push abstinence. And while they mention condoms and things, but they don't really go into, like, they don't do that thing that, like, you see on TV in some, like, TV shows and movies where they, like, take the banana and put a condom on it to show you how to put on a condom and stuff like that. It's not that. And they don't hand out condoms to kids in middle school and high school. Like, even high school, they don't. I remember it was so funny in high school because, and in high school, we only had one sex ed class, and it was for a couple weeks, and that was for the whole 4 years. Like, we didn't even have sex education like we did all the other grades. All the other grades, you had, like, a week every year where the nurse came in and did her whole little spiel. And, you know, when in high school, you didn't have that. Like, we didn't have that at all. It was one of the half year classes you had to take was a like a kind of like a health class. You learned CPR and just general nutrition and what kinds of exercises are good for what and things. And then the nurse came in for like a week, and everybody stayed together, and that was the only co-ed sex education thing that we ever did. Um, Everybody stayed together, and everybody learned how to, like, there was like a fake boob that everybody learned, and a fake little testicle thing, and Like, the boys got to learn how to check for cancer, and then the girls got to learn how to check their breasts and stuff. So, like, that was only separate part that we did. Like, the boys had to leave the room for our part, and the girls had to leave the room for their part, which I thought was kind of silly too, because, if you're intimate with someone or you're married, you're probably going to touch each other, most likely. And knowing what something feels like, that's out of the ordinary, that isn't normal, your partner might not notice it. Your partner's in their own body. They're not going to notice a change as much as you are as an outside observer. So I thought that was silly too. I guess the other thing would be is that they never once, not even in high school, mentioned gay sex, lesbian sex, or any kind of sex outside of one man, one woman sex. And I don't know if that's just that was what the state was setting in motion, or if just because I'm in the South. I mean, are other states getting educated? I mean, do they provide that education for children? Because, I mean, I know for myself, um, I always noticed it because I always had friends that I've always had friends. I just never didn't have friends that were either lesbian or gay or bisexual or something. And I mean, I consider myself pan or omni, which a lot of people just say is bi anyway, but pretty much I just like who I like. It doesn't matter what's on the outside, really. Um, Point being is they never had any education other than what was about, like, a man and a woman having sex together. There was never any education beyond that. But I guess I guess that would be obvious considering, they never really had, they were always pushing abstinence. They were always pushing the fact that sex is for making babies, and it should be between a married husband and wife or two long-term partners, but it was never, they never went over any kind of sex besides man and woman, which I always thought was funny. A lot of people have different views on, like, when you should have sex. Me personally, I think it's very much dependent on the individual, whether they're mature enough. And then, I mean, there's always the age of consent or whatever in the state or the country that you're in. And I think that a good age is usually closer to 18 than anything. I always set a self rule, and that was I was going to wait until I was 18, because for me at that point, no matter what I chose to do, it would be myself that would have to deal with the repercussions. Meaning, if I wasn't careful and I slept with someone and I caught something, or I slept with a man and I got pregnant or something else, then it would be my responsibility. It would be my own error and my responsibility to take care of the situation. And while I'm sure that at the time my family would have helped me no matter whether I was 16 or 18, the fact would be is that at 18 I would be able to get a job and take on responsibility and be an adult and be responsible for myself and whatever consequences my actions caused. When you're not considered an adult in your country, whatever consequences your action causes caused, I'm not even sure what the correct grammar for that would be, but your consequences are a lot of times placed on your parents or your caretakers. And in which case, for me personally, I always felt that waiting till I was 18 made sure that my actions were my own, and that, I wouldn't be nobody else would be held responsible for my actions, whether they be good or bad. I didn't want anyone to say that I made the right choice because of an adult, and I didn't want them to say that I made the wrong choice because of an adult. I wanted it to be that I made the wrong choice or I made the wrong choice. And I mean, besides that, for personally, I'm very emotional when it comes to sex, and everyone's different. You know, some people, sex is very much a physical thing, and it's always a physical thing, and it's never an emotional thing. Some people, it's always an emotional thing, and some people can differentiate. They can have sex with somebody one night and be okay and be fine and move on, and then go on to have a nice relationship with a partner, and sex be meaningful and personal, and it, you know, be a personal thing and an emotional thing. For me, I am very much someone who is slow to trust. I'm slow to open up to people. Um, I'm very much willing to give everyone a chance, but I'm slow to allow you into my inner circle, which is very small for me because I don't even really have um, family anymore outside of my husband's family. And so my the few people that I allow in my inner circle are very close to me. And for me, that is like the most intimate thing that you can do with someone. And is it's something that not necessarily religiously sacred, but very sacred to me on a personal level. And I didn't want to do that with just anyone. If it was going to be a thing, if I was just going to do it with someone, then it would need to be a very close friend, so that I would know that if we did have that interaction with each other, that it wouldn't change our relationship, and that I would still be able to be close to them um, without that affecting it. And so when my partner and I finally decided to make that step, it was after we had both turned 18. So no one could say anything against either one of us for, you know, nobody could come in and say, okay, somebody did something that somebody else didn't want to do. You know, nobody could be weird about it. Because, you know, sometimes parents can be weird. You can't help it. I mean, I can't tell you what I would do if I found out my daughter had had sex before she turned 18. I don't know. I don't have a daughter. I haven't been there yet. Haven't had that life experience yet. But we both waited until we were 18, and we set aside an afternoon, and we made it special for each other. And, you know, not everybody has that experience. And I think that, you know, even though we didn't wait until, you know, marriage or official marriage or whatever you want to say, the fact that we were together, I mean, we were friends for many years before we got together, but then on top of that, that we had said, okay, we're not going to take that step until we're this far along in the relationship. And it wasn't just so that we would turn 18, but we said we wanted to be together so long as a couple before we said, okay, we're going to take that step. And we sat down and we discussed it, and we said, if this doesn't work out, is this going to be weird? You know, is this who we want to spend our first time with? It was very much a thing of we needed to make this special for each other, because whether or not we remained together, whether we broke up at some point, and even if it was on horrible terms, could we look back on our first time and say, yes, this was special to me. I appreciated that moment in my life. And so that is what we chose to do. So I think everyone should take that into consideration when they're young and when they're thinking about taking that next step in their life. And like I said, even if it's not going to be with the person that you intend on spending the rest of your life with, that it should be a special moment for both of you, whether or not it's both of your first times or not. And if it's not your partner's first time, and they don't understand that you want to make it special to you, don't let them force you into, you know, just doing it just because they've done it before. You know, if you want your first time to be special, if you want your first time to mean something, to be memorable and to be a certain way, you have a right to that. And I mean, you have a right to do that anytime you have sex. Sex is your personal thing, and no one can make you, whether you've had sex once or 100 times, no one can make you ever do that without your consent 100%. And they can't ever make you do it in a certain way that you don't want to do, or at a time you don't want to do it, you know. And your first time should be special, no matter what. And if you've already had your first time, but you feel like you need that special first time, tell your partner and set aside a day and just, you know, just allow yourselves to have that nice day and let that be your first time, even if it's not. Because allow yourself to have that experience of just having that entire day to explore and experience things and just have that memory. It can be special to you. I made myself feel better. I'm getting sappy now, so I think I'm going to pause and come back and see you guys later if I have anything to add to that. But I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay guys, today's video, like, I don't want to edit it. I feel like it's good as it is, so I'm probably just gonna leave it where it is today, because I'm actually gonna try to relax today. I'm feeling a little bit better now, but I'm gonna try to relax and get a little extra sleep, because I'm actually going to be getting up early so I can go hang out at the mall with my younger sister, my only sister. But we haven't actually met in person in over a decade, so that's kind of crazy. And we've kind of talked on and off. We'll go a few years and not talk, and then we'll like Facebook or Skype or something for a little while, and then we'll go for a while and not talk. But we've been going through a little bit of emotional stuff together. We've only been talking to each other for a few days now, and it's been like a year since we talked last. But we're kind of adults now, I guess you could say, and so we've been dealing with some emotional stuff together, and we've decided that we're going to meet up together and go hang out. So that'll be exciting. I might see if I can get my phone to work. Maybe we'll do a little bit of this and that at the mall. Maybe I can get some footage of us just chilling. But other than that, I think today is just going to be really quiet, because I think I'm honestly probably just going to sleep a lot. And I don't want to do too much more, but just a big thing about what I talked about today was, you know, it's your body, and don't let anyone ever tell you that you have to do something that you don't feel comfortable doing. You know, whether you ever want to have sex is up to you. When you want to have sex, how you want to have sex, it's all up to you. And you know, just be confident. And then besides that, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself during sex, because it's not always like in the movies. Sometimes there's funny noises, and sometimes somebody farts during sex. That's really weird, but it happens. It's it's natural, just being in your body. But you know, just don't be afraid to laugh at yourself, and you know, try to look at yourself in the mirror and just tell yourself that I love me for me. And I just want to let you guys know that even though I don't know you, and I don't know how many people are ever going to watch this, if anybody, but I love you. And I mean that. I love you for whoever you are, wherever you are. If we ever meet, I will give you a hug. It like doesn't even matter. Just ask me for a hug and I will give you a hug. So I guess I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.